Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Wednesday, May 17th. I'm Zoe Thomas for The Wall Street Journal. U.S. lawmakers are scrambling to figure out how to deal with the rapid growth of artificial intelligence. On Wednesday, a Senate subcommittee held a hearing to discuss possible rules for the sector. Among the witnesses was Sam Altman, head of OpenAI, the company that created the generative AI chatbot ChatGPT. Altman called on lawmakers to set up licensing and safety standards.
We understand that people are anxious about how it could change the way we live. We are too. But we believe that we can and must work together to identify and manage the potential downsides so that we can all enjoy the tremendous upsides.
But with such a fast-moving technology and Congress often divided on passing new laws, will anything get done? Our tech policy reporter Ryan Tracy joins me now to discuss what happened at the hearing. So Ryan, Sam Altman was testifying. There was also Christina Montgomery, Chief Privacy and Trust Officer at IBM, and Gary Marcus, a professor at New York University. Now, recently, when we've seen lawmakers call executives to Capitol Hill, it's led to pretty tense interactions. What was the mood at this hearing like?
It was very different, much more conciliatory, much more lawmakers asking Sam Altman for his thoughts and advice about what they should do, as opposed to reading him the riot act or asking him adversarial questions. And it really reflected the fact that these technologies are new and members of Congress haven't totally figured out whether they're good or bad or both yet.
OpenAI founder Sam Altman, he said in his testimony that lawmakers should make new rules around AI. What exactly was he suggesting?
Well, he said if you're going to have an AI system that meets what he called a certain threshold of capabilities, then you should have to get a license for that. And that license should be taken away from you if you're not meeting certain safety standards around testing it before it gets put out into the wild for millions and millions of people to use. He didn't really define exactly what he meant by capabilities, although at one point he mentioned a couple things, like, for example, if it could be used to create a biological agent or something like that. He also said he wanted a new agency to be created to enforce all this, and that was an interesting thing for him to endorse. And, that's further than others in the industry have gone, including the representative of IBM at the witness table, who said she didn't think a new agency was the right way to go.
All right, Ryan, I want to talk about some of the big issues that have raised concerns around AI. Let's start with the issue of jobs. How did lawmakers and the witnesses address the issue that AI could really upset the employment market?
Lawmakers are clearly concerned about that. And on that topic and a lot of the other harms, Altman was really trying to project this air of optimism. He acknowledged and said explicitly that this technology will automate away some jobs. He also said that the future world that we're headed for could be a better world, that existing jobs could be better in some ways and that there will be new jobs created. So he was sort of trying to talk lawmakers out of the idea that this is all doom and gloom, but he's not entirely sure that happy future is going to happen either, especially if the government doesn't do anything.
Another big issue that lawmakers raised was concerns about how AI could impact elections. Can you talk a little bit about what they were specifically concerned about and how the witnesses addressed it?
Well, at the outset of the hearing, Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut, who was the chair of this hearing, played an AI-generated recording of his own voice talking about artificial intelligence and some of the potential benefits and harms.
Too often, we have seen what happens when technology outpaces regulation. The unbridled exploitation of personal data, the proliferation of disinformation. This is not the future we want. If you were listening from home, you might have thought that voice was mine and the words from me. But in fact, that voice was not mine. The words were not mine. And the audio was an AI voice cloning software trained on my floor speeches.
He was clearly, in some ways, marveling at how accurate it sounded. But he also pointed out, what if this was my voice, but it wasn't talking about something I agree with? What if it was articulating a position on, say, Vladimir Putin and Ukraine that I totally disagree with? And he found that to be pretty scary. And Other lawmakers raised similar concerns around how persuasive these AI systems could be. One thing Sam Altman said toward the end of the hearing was that he thought there ought to be some policy around making sure that if there's a piece of content and it's been generated by an AI system, that should be made clear. There should be some notification to the user when they're looking at something that's fake. And the academic witness from New York University talked about how it really creates this world where no one can trust what they see, and that's the difficult world for us to live in.
This hearing isn't the only step that lawmakers are taking to investigate and possibly regulate AI. What else are they doing?
So there's bills being introduced certainly every week and almost every day, it seems, on various pieces of AI. There was another hearing this very same morning in a different Senate committee about the government's use of AI. The night before the hearing and also the afternoon after the hearing, Sam Altman is talking to rooms full of members of Congress about this topic. So there's a lot going on, and a lot of it in the realm of discussion and conversation. It hasn't reached the level where there's consensus around a bill that seems like it could get enough votes to actually pass.
So does that mean listeners shouldn't be holding their breath for AI regulation to be passed soon?
It certainly is not going to pass in the immediate term because, again, there isn't a proposal that has that much momentum. It could happen. It's always more likely than not, as I've said on this podcast a few times, for Congress to do nothing than for Congress to do something. And there was some acknowledgement of that at the hearing today. At a couple points, senators said something to the effect of, the industry really has a responsibility to do the right thing regardless of what we do. And I think that's the members of Congress tacitly acknowledging that they may not be able to do anything right away.
All right, that's our tech policy reporter, Ryan Tracy. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. For more tech stories, head over to our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for The Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.